Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Okay, starting the second half of the show, which this show just flies by. The Electronic Freedom Foundation, which if you guys don't know about them, they're a really good foundation. You can check them out on the web. They had an article detailing recently released documents that show the FBI has been working with 4 states, Michigan, Hawaii, Maryland, and possibly Oregon. They weren't real sure about that one, to help put together what is being called the Next Generation Identification Facial Recognition Program. This is a program to create a database of facial recognition patterns which will provide law enforcement agencies with the ability to quickly identify people whose patterns they have on file. The states are providing photos not only of their arrest records, that would be booking photos, but also will start providing photos from driver's licenses and permits, as well as the matching fingerprints and other biometric data that are measured and recorded. Of course, if they ever get Obamacare implemented with the government in charge of your health care, that will probably be included in the database as well. And don't give me that, that would be against HIPAA laws argument. The government doesn't give a hoot about what is legal and or constitutional. Now, the FBI even has agreements in place with 77 other countries to share information and allow automatic access to their biometric databases. Germany already has the system in place and is currently sharing this information. The FBI's goal is to be able to search and identify people in photos of crowds on Facebook or other social media sites on the internet, even if you haven't ever been arrested or even suspected of a crime. They want to know who you are with, what you are doing, when you are doing it, and where you are doing it. Time and again, the government has and currently is violating your rights and freedoms. And when it gets caught, claims it is doing it all to protect you. The fact of the matter is, government is not about protecting you. It is about protecting itself from you. Just look at what happens during a riot. The police are sent to protect the government buildings and officials. Those officials could care less about what happens to your property. All this supposed protection is really to track your activities and know what you are doing. This is in order to make sure you aren't plotting anything against the government. The database is just a start of it. This is all leading to the real-time tracking of everyone in the world they can. And unfortunately, we have people, or more like sheep, who will say that if you aren't up to anything, then what are you worried about? This is a blatant invasion of privacy and needs to be stopped. These types of issues are what you need to be asking these people running for office. Ask them the hard questions and don't let them give you some flimsy answer. Make them answer they're going to put a stop to these things. Because if they aren't, all the other issues will quickly become academic. If we're no longer free to move about the country without being watched and tracked the whole time, then there will be no freedom. And thus, there will be no United States as we once knew it. So, instead of just listening to this show and thinking there is another wacky government program, but then going throughout your week doing your normal routine, why not take a minute to call or email your representative's office and tell them in no uncertain terms to stop all of this? If enough people do that, then we have a chance at succeeding. It's interesting to me that when, a couple of weeks ago, the president of Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy, is attacked and he's ridiculed about his position on gay marriage. Hundreds of thousands of people turn out to support him and make that day, that Wednesday, August 1st, it was a record-setting day of sales for his company. But we can only get 1/3 to 1/2 of the voting population to the polls to vote on something that affects us all. So what people, they may or may not agree with Dan Cathy's position on gay marriage. How about whether or not you will be free to do what you want in this country? Does that matter to anyone? Where's the anger about all this socialism we have in this country? Oh, wait, that's right. Half this country is getting some form of government support, so they have sold their vote to the highest bidder. Unfortunately, freedom and liberty don't have a bank account. They don't take money from the citizens of America at the point of a gun. So, freedom and liberty cannot offer you free groceries, free housing, free cell phones. However, it is freedom and liberty that indirectly makes those things possible. Freedom and liberty allows businesses to thrive so they can pay taxes which furnish all of these supposed freebies. In the end, we are killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Eventually, it all has to come to an end. You cannot keep choking the life out of people paying for all of this and not expect at some point they're going to move out of the country or give up and get on the government dole themselves. Over and over, I've said on this radio show, if you are taking money from the government, money you have not paid into the system, well, honestly, then you're a thief and an accomplice to the robbery of your fellow American citizens. If you have taken more than you have paid into the system, you're in the same boat. You are stealing money from your fellow taxpayers. And don't give me the line, other people are doing it.
Other people are doing it.
There you go, because that's what people will say. And they'll say, if I don't get all I can get, it will just go to someone else. Look, a lot of times doing the right thing is not fun. It isn't a pleasant thing to do. It isn't always comfortable. And sometimes, honestly, you come out looking like a fool. But the important thing is you are doing the right thing. Nothing else matters. Not your reputation, not your ego, not your pride. If this makes you feel uncomfortable, then good. You probably need to reassess some things in your life. Selling out your principles in the short term or for even long-term gain is never the correct decision. You should always strive to do the right and just thing, even if you suffer the consequences for it. By doing so, in the end, you'll be much more respected for standing firm on your convictions rather than being blown about by the wind. That doesn't mean you should always be constantly ensuring you're correct in your thinking, though. All your principles, you should always test them over and over again in order to verify you are on the right path. That is why libertarianism is such a good philosophy to live by. You will be constant or consistent in your beliefs across the board. Sometimes it is hard to maintain this thinking when a situation presents itself that goes against your old way of thinking, but each time you defeat that seduction, it becomes easier to make the correct decision in the future. Until such time as you don't even have to think about it, you automatically fall on the side of freedom and liberty. And came up right here on the last break here. Boy, this show just flies by, Tori. I tell you, it's
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's already 45 after, and it seems like I just started the show.
Well, you did. 45 minutes ago.
45 minutes ago. Yeah. So we have the last break here. When we come back, we'll get to a couple more things, and we'll try to slot into a couple of calls here if we can get them in real quick in the last segment. This is the Patrick Riggins Show. We'll be right back.